1971 was the year music splintering in every direction. Hard rock thundered, soul grooves tightened, and country began sneaking into the pop mainstream. But for every superstar who dominated the charts, there were artists who touched greatness only once, a single spark before fading back into darkness. Tonight, we're digging into the top 10 forgotten one-hit wonders of 1971. These aren't just chart entries. They're stories of chance, tragedy, bad timing, and brilliance that slipped away. Stay to the end because our number 1 is both triumphant and heartbreaking. Number 10, Ashton, Gardner, and Dyke, Resurrection Shuffle. It sounded like a party crashing through a church. With pounding piano, blasting horns, and a groove that refused to quit, Resurrection Shuffle was part gospel revival, part beer-soaked jam session. Released in late 1970, it crossed the Atlantic in early 71 and managed to claw its way to number 40 on the Hot 100. Critics called it infectious, but in America it was too brash, too raw, too British for AM radio. Still, it caught the ears of musicians who knew a good groove when they heard one. Tom Jones added it to his Vegas act, and even Elvis Presley worked it into his live shows, giving it second life from bigger stages. But for Ashton, Gardner, and Dyke themselves, there would be no encore. The single was their only taste of the US spotlight. Their follow-ups fizzled, their label moved on, and the band dissolved within a few years. They had raised the dead once, but couldn't resurrect their own careers. Number 9, Wadsworth Mansion, Sweet Mary. It came out of nowhere. A Connecticut band with no national profile suddenly stormed the charts in early 1971 with Sweet Mary, a breezy pop rock anthem that peaked at number 7 on the Hot 100. Its hook was irresistible, the kind of melody perfect for FM radio and high school dances. But the success was built on shaky ground. Their record label failed to support them, bungled promotion for the follow-up single, and by the time the band tried touring, momentum was already fading. What's wild is that Sweet Mary had started almost as a joke, a jam session tossed together in rehearsal. DJs loved it, listeners requested it, and suddenly it was blasting from radios nationwide. But just as quickly, the ride was over. The band's next single stiffed, the album failed to chart, and by the end of '71, Wadsworth Mansion had collapsed. One perfect slice of optimism, gone before the decade truly began. Number 8, The Fuzz, I Love You for All Seasons. Three teenage girls from Washington, D.C., barely out of high school, suddenly found themselves on national radio. In 1971, their debut single, I Love You for All Seasons, floated up the charts to number 21. Sweet harmonies, lush strings, and youthful sincerity made it unforgettable. But behind the scenes, the group's label, Cala Records, was too small to keep up. Promotion faltered, the follow-ups went nowhere, and by 1973, the group disbanded. Yet the song refused to vanish. Decades later, hip-hop producers rediscovered it. Ninth Wonder sampled it, Nas and Little Brother flipped it, and suddenly these forgotten voices were echoing across rap records. For one season in 1971, The Fuzz were stars. And in a twist no one could have predicted, their one hit still whispers through modern beats. Number 7, Ray Price, For the Good Times.
Don't look so sad. I know.
Ray Price wasn't some newcomer. By 1971, he was a country legend. But he only crossed into pop stardom once, with a heartbreak ballad written by Chris Christopherson. For the Good Times peaked at number 11 on the Hot 100, turning Price into an unlikely crossover star. It was smooth, mournful, and drenched in strings.
I know it's over, but life goes on.
A far cry from the honky-tonk twang of his earlier hits. The single swept awards, winning Song of the Year from the Academy of Country Music.
Let's just be glad we had some time to spend together.
But Bryce never repeated the trick. For the rest of his career, he remained a country powerhouse, while For the Good Times stood alone as his pop moments. One song, one aching goodbye, one brush with the mainstream, a crossover miracle he would never see again.
For the good time.
Number 6. Lynn Anderson.
Never promised you a rose garden.
It was the country song that went global. Released in late 1970, Lynn Anderson's Rose Garden exploded in 1971, climbing to number 3 on the Hot 100 and topping charts in more than a dozen countries. It sold millions, becoming one of the best-selling country pop crossovers. But it was also lightning in a bottle. Though Anderson scored more country hits, she never cracked the pop top 10 again. Rose Garden became both her triumph and her trap. A song so big it overshadowed everything else she did. It later became an anthem of female independence, covered by everyone from K.D. Lang to Martina McBride. Yet for Anderson, it was her only shot at mainstream pop glory. One rose bloomed bright.
Rose garden.
Number 5. Honeycomb. Want Ads. In 1971, this female trio lit up the airwaves with sass, funk, and one unforgettable hook. Wanted, young man, single, and free. With those words, Honeycomb's Want Ads soared to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was witty, it was funky, and it felt like Motown with a sharper edge. The single sold over 1 million copies and briefly made Honeycomb the hottest girl group in America. But follow-up singles couldn't capture the same spark. By 1973, the group had disbanded, leaving Want Ads as their lone claim to pop immortality. A personal ad disguised as a breakup song. Delivered with attitude, it was irresistible. One classified ad that wrote itself into chart history. Number 4. Jean Knight, Mr. Big Stuff. Few debuts hit harder. Jean Knight swaggered into 1971 with Mr. Big Stuff, a funk-driven call-out aimed at arrogant men. The single exploded to number 2, sold over 2 million copies, and turned her into an instant. You're never gonna get my love. But behind the scenes, Knight clashed with her label, Stax Records. Legal battles and promotion failures strangled her career before it had a chance to grow. She never landed another Hot 100 entry. The irony? The song itself never died. It's been sampled by TLC, Heavy D, and countless hip-hop artists. It's popped up in commercials, sitcoms, and movies for decades. John Knight may have vanished from the charts, but Mr. Big Stuff keeps walking. Oh, yeah. Number 3. King Floyd, Groove Me.
Let me tell you something, girl, I've been trying to say now.
It almost never happened. Groove Me was buried on the B-side of a single until DJs in New Orleans flipped it over and realized they had gold. Suddenly, the track shot to number 9 on the Hot 100 in 1971. Recorded in a tiny Malaco record studio with just a handful of musicians.
You look so sweet and you're so doggone fine. I just can't get you out.
It had raw funk energy that felt ahead of its time. Floyd became a star overnight, but only for a moment. His later singles failed to connect, his label couldn't push him nationally, and by the mid-70s, he was back in obscurity. Still, Groove Me became a cult classic, even covered by Bonnie Raitt years later. A groove born by accident, too wild to last.
Come on, give me something, girl, I've been needing for days.
Number 2. Stephen Stills, Love the One You're With. was already a rock legend with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. But in 1971, Stephen Stills tried to step out alone and delivered Love the One You're With. The single climbed to number 14, giving him his only solo hit on the Hot 100. The phrase itself came from Billy Preston, and Stills turned it into a sly anthem of free love in an era still buzzing with counterculture spirit. But despite his fame, Stills never repeated the trick. His solo career always lived in the shadow of CSNY. One song, one cheeky slogan, one hit, and proof that even giants can stumble when they walk alone.
Don't be sad, but don't sit crying over good times you had.
Number 1. Janis Joplin, Me and Bobby McGee.
Busted flat in Baton Rouge, waiting for a train, and us feeling near as faded.
It's the most haunting one-hit wonder of them all. Janis Joplin had already become a rock icon with Big Brother and the Holding Company. But as a solo artist, she never lived to see her triumph. She recorded Me and Bobby McGee, written by Chris Christopherson for her Pearl album in 1970. Just weeks later, she was gone, dead at 27. The single was released posthumously in early 1971, and in March, it soared to number 1. It was her only solo hit on the Hot 100, and it became her farewell.
I pulled my harpoon out of my dirty red bandana.
A voice filled with grit and longing, singing of freedom and loss, echoing across the world just as she left it. Few songs carry this much weight. A final performance, a chart topper, and a goodbye from one of rock's greatest voices. Janis Joplin never saw her one-hit wonder, but the world has never stopped hearing it. 1971 was a year of giants. Zeppelin, Stones, Marvin Gaye. But hidden among them were these fleeting flashes of brilliance. Artists who touched the charts once and then disappeared. Some were victims of labels, some of bad luck, and one of tragedy. But all of them left us a single song that refuses to fade. Which of these forgotten wonders is still on your playlist today? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more lost gems from the soundtrack of history.